years at various leadership roles in the cable and wireless industry. What inspired you to want to take on this role as the commissioner of the FCC?
Everybody comes in and says, here's how I define the public interest, and here's why this action I want you to take is in that public interest. Public interest is malleable. The definition of public interest, where you stand depends on where you sit. You have to look for something that is actually broader than those kinds of individual definitions of the public interest. So I began to start saying, what is it that provides for the common good and helps the interests of as many as possible? And that's what the challenge of the job is.
So you made a lot of difficult decisions while you were at the FCC. What would you say was the most difficult decision that you made?
Well, I'm sure that the most public decision was the net neutrality decision. The whole net neutrality issue had been around for a dozen years, maybe 15 years. As the internet expanded, and in particular Web 2.0, which allowed video and social media and all these things that we take for granted today, it became clear that those who ran the networks had the economic incentive and the technological capability to become gatekeepers as to what went over the network. The CEO of SBC, now AT&T, famously said at about that point in time, people are nuts if they think they're going to use my network for free and go out and make money at the edge of the network. Well, that was the whole issue. Do you have an open network that allows the consumer to get to creative new services at what's called the edge of the network? And do you have creative new services like Netflix or Hulu or Facebook or Google or whatever have the ability to get to the consumer? What we were trying to do was to say, okay, how do we make sure that the networks are open and that there aren't gatekeepers saying, well, I'm going to put you in a fast lane, I'm going to put you in a slow lane because you're paying me more. I'm going to give you a special break because you actually are affiliated with me. And how do we say, no, this is an open network just like the network that allowed AOL to succeed? That was the underpinning of what net neutrality is all about.
And opponents of that decision would claim that it stifles investment in the technology. Do you find that to be credible?
No, because you look at what's happened since the open internet rule, record levels of investment in high-speed broadband infrastructure, record levels of venture capital investment, increased usage of the network by consumers, and get ready for it, therefore increased revenues to the internet service providers who have complained while their revenues go up, and by the way, so have their stock prices.
There were some skeptics out there who thought that because of the role that you had played in the industry, that you might be biased toward the major players. Now, obviously, as a result of your tenure, they were proved wrong.
It was hurtful that people were saying, oh, he's going to be a tool of the industry, oh, this sort of thing. What they didn't understand is that when I was the head of the Cable TV Association, we were the insurgents challenging the incumbents, the TV broadcasters who were trying to use the FCC to shut us down. When I was head of the wireless industry, we were the insurgents trying to challenge the wired companies. And when I was a venture capitalist, I was investing in new disruptive technologies. So I didn't change my stripes at all. It's just that people didn't understand which way the stripes were running.
Chairman, what are some of the things that you're most optimistic about with regard to the future, and what are some of your biggest concerns?
I think we're on the cusp of what will be the great network revolution. The law of networks, I think, is that it is never the primary technology that is transformational, but the secondary effect. And what we're looking at now is, as a result of this distributed network, principally wireless, we are going to have chips in everything. If the networks that connect all those devices aren't fast, fair, and open, you got a problem. If there isn't an expectation of privacy, that the information coming over those networks belongs to the creator of that information, and just because it's running on your network, the network can't turn around and sell it for its own purposes. Then you got problems. And if those networks aren't secure from cyber attack, then you got problems. Open networks, privacy of information, cybersecurity, and ubiquity of reach, those were the four things that we focused on during my tenure. And I hope that set us up for what's to come. Pull those out, we may not see the kind of future that we could have.